Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Tastemakers podcast. This is, of course, the podcast where we talk about all of the happenings in the world of TV and film. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me, as always, is Grace. How you doing, Grace?
I'm good. We've been away, Taran. We've been busy, but we're back. Yeah.
We have been away. Things have been very busy. I have a broken TV. it's,
Yeah.
it's a lot going on.
Yeah. Big Brother's been a little wild. I was living in a movie theater basically, so we were away, but we are back. And I feel like a good litmus test, I have to say. If sometimes I would do podcasts on post show recaps, bless that network in the old days of like a random show, and you'd like kind of stop doing it and nobody would reach out. And you'd be like, oh, okay. Very glad to say. Many people were like, are you guys okay over there? You guys good? That's a good sign. Thank you so much, everybody who checked in while we were away.
Yes. Well, we're back, and there's tons to talk about. The Emmys aired last night, and as Grace mentioned, she's been watching countless films that she can talk about and give us the preview for.
I even watched some TV, Taryn, in a movie theater. I did watch it that
Oh,
way, but yeah, I watched some TV shows too. So
very
yeah,
fun.
but yeah, very fun. Emmys last, well, very fun. It's fine. We'll talk about it. But a 4-year ratings high, so people are watching the Emmys, and so we should probably talk about it.
There you go. Yes. So that's going to be the episode. A bit of a not so much a catch up as much as like an update on reactions to the Emmys and a preview for movies and things to come. I have not watched a single TV show in the last 3 weeks,
There's been stuff
other than
that's
Big Brother.
there's been stuff that has been on, but I would say a quieter television. It was a slow summer. I was chatting with some people in line who do press, and they were like, "Yeah, slow summer for television." So there hasn't really been stuff that's continuing. I feel like one bigger premiere, which is Task, which
Mm-hmm.
people seem to like.
Yeah.
So that's on, but for the most part, it's a little quieter out there on the TV streets.
Yeah, this does sometimes happen on Big Brother. I think I was doing well during the
You were.
season, but it eventually caught up to me, and I'm now at the point where I'm like, oh, I got all these things I got to catch up on once the season ends. But let's talk about the Emmys, which I did also not watch a lot of
That's okay.
because there was nonsense happening on the feeds at the same time. However, I do know all of the results, and I watched a good portion of the speeches and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And so, plenty to talk about here with the Emmys.
I mean, I feel like there's a pretty big. I mean, the headline is I think a thing that we have been seeing, Taryn, which is that more and more it feels like, whether or not it's statistically true or not, I would have to do more digging, but that there are less shows that get nominated. There's sort of this like compiling of the show like The Studio gets like every
Mm-hmm.
guest actor spot, and it seems like that continued a little bit in terms of there were a few shows. I mean, I think kind of a show dominated per category. There is a drama winner to some degree, although maybe not so much as the other two. There is certainly a comedy winner, and there is absolutely a limited series or anthology winner that came out of last night's Emmys. It's sort of like cemented. And interestingly, those are two new shows. Actually, the drama is a new show as well. But I feel like that's the feeling that most people have coming out of this is like, oh, you all really like those shows.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's generally how it goes, and I mean, to some degree, it's understandable. Like a good show will tend to have good writing, directing, acting, cinematography, like all of those things, right? In the same way that a good movie would. But it does feel a little stale as we get more and deeper and deeper into this. Like, The Bear broke the record for the amount of comedy wins in a single thing. And then, like, the following year, we now have a new show. The Studio breaks the new record for the amount of awards in a single award show. And it's like, maybe we're going in the wrong direction here.
Yeah, I mean, there is like stuff. I mean, like in terms of sort of the Bear didn't win anything, which does maybe feel like a bit of a surprise comparatively to like was. But I also think that this is for the season of the Bear that people tended to not like, which was season 3. This is not for the Bear season 4. This is for the previous one, so maybe that does track a little bit. Hacks won some awards. Severance won awards. Like, there is, to some degree, there's a couple of surprises, I think, in terms of
Mhm.
in terms of a writing Emmy that got handed out. But yeah, it I mean, there was a controversy about this a little bit a while ago, where there was this like, was it the, I can't remember if it was the Emmys or the Oscars, where they're like, you all have to watch everything. It's like, hasn't that always been the rule? It's like, turns out not. They didn't have to watch everything. And I think to some degree, there are a lot of TV shows that, as you and I can attest to, Taran. And so the idea that somebody might have watched a bunch of stuff, and then as they're filling out their ballot, are like, oh yeah, I did really like, this show I watched, and so I'm going to vote for the people who are in that show, does maybe make some sense, even if it's a little frustrating for it to be very samey on Emmy night.
Yeah. Well, let's go over the list here. I have the IMDb page, as per usual. Outstanding drama, of course, went to The Pit, which I fully agree with. This is the one, obviously, that has been my favorite show of the year. Andor winning, I wouldn't have been mad at, but very happy for The Pit.
I think between Andor and Severance, there was a little bit of like, oh, maybe
Mhm.
like, those could win. I really don't know that Andor ever really had a shot. I think that like now that it hasn't won, I think people are being like, just so you know, that was like the best show like maybe ever made,
Mhm.
you know. And then Severance, I did see some like hoity-toity stuff of like really like the medical room drama won over the the high-minded Severance. I really like The Pit. I'm not mad that it won. Very happy that it won, in fact. And so The Pit, I think, a deserving winner. I think that it just speaks to that there were pretty good shows in the drama category this year.
And at the end of the day, sure, it's a medical drama, but like it stood out this year
Yeah.
as one of the most unique shows that we've had in a long time because it harkened back to the glory days of that kind of television that a lot of people are missing. And just like for as weird and high minded as Severance is, it actually weirdly doesn't feel as unique, I think, as something like The Pit does right now, because there are lots of shows that are trying to be Severance and very few shows that are succeeding at being The Pit. And so I think it's very interesting, and I'm wondering if there's going to be a now a shift in the direction of more hits.
Well, yeah, it's sort of a throwback in a way. It's like a
Mhm.
throwback, but like then also a weird prestige show. Like it is on HBO Max. The other thing I feel like people are kind of forgetting is that like there was a little bit of like, maybe Severance isn't as good as season 1, and
I mean,
so
that's certainly
whereas
how I felt.
yeah, whereas The Pit sort of had this like, oh my god, this is, it
Mhm.
obviously is familiar, but felt very new and fresh and was good all the way through. I said this too. I think Adolescence, which we'll talk about, is extremely good. Part of the thing that I kept saying is like, it is 4 episodes. Like they did the 4 episodes extremely well, but they, like, this is kind of unfair way to say it, but they only had to do 4 amazing episodes as opposed to other shows that do 8 or 10. The Pit did, was it 16 in the end? Like they did a
I think it
lot
was
of really
15.
good. 15. They did a lot of really good. They did a lot of good TV. So I'm not
Yeah.
mad at The Pit winning.
15 and they're back in just a few months.
Yeah, that's wild too.
It's
Yeah,
so wild.
yeah.
Um, Outstanding comedy went to The Studio over Hacks, Abbott Elementary, The Bear, Nobody Wants This, Only Murders in the Building, What We Do in the Shadows, and Shrinking. Um, the studio won a billion things.
Broke the record, I think, like at least tied the
Yeah.
record for most wins. There is, this is a little bit of like it's replacing Hacks, I think, that which
Mhm.
in turn that replaced kind of The Bear. Like each of those shows sort of like had a moment that it became the comedy for a little bit. I think, unfortunately, at the expense of some of these other pretty strong comedies in Abbott Elementary. People really like Shrinking. I like Shrinking as well. I think What We Do in the Shadows might be like, joke for joke, one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Um, there is a thing where like, yeah, Hollywood seemed to have really liked The Studio. Interestingly, you might think like, oh, is it strange that kind of a show that's kind of making fun of Hollywood, but this is making fun of movies, and I feel like TV people can feel a little bit like, oh, that's them, not us. Like we're
Mm.
we're like going through it. This is where people actually do come to like do make art. Like, they make art on television now. So the studio clearly, I think it makes sense that it resonates. I think people really liked it. I think it also is fair that it resonates with the group of people who are then voting for the award. So
Yeah, I'm not mad at it either. Like,
yeah.
honestly, looking at the list, like, I would put Hacks in there for sure, but I don't hate the studio winning this. I like the studio. It was a good show. It was a good comedy, and it was an actual comedy.
Hacks, I feel like they didn't even have their best season last season, so I'm not that mad at studio winning. Also, I believe it was just officially confirmed that season 5 will be the last season of Hacks. So interesting.
Outstanding television movie. I don't know if we really care much about this.
Rebel Ridge is really
Um,
good. That's it.
Outstanding lead actor in a drama series goes to Noah Wiley. Very pleased with this one. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
it's a
great.
phenomenal list, but just so happy.
Yeah, I think that they had said that this is the first time he had won for playing a doctor, if I remember that
He was
correctly.
nominated. They said he was not. I think he was nominated 5 or 6 times for his role as John Carter in ER, and he has now finally won an Emmy for playing a doctor, or
Yeah.
even maybe has he even won an Emmy at all before?
So he has won an Emmy, and then I'm just trying to like figure out what he won for. Like, I feel like maybe he didn't win for playing a doctor is maybe what I'm seeing, or yeah. Yeah. Anyway, uh, that's it.
Primetime Emmy Awards. He was nominated for ER 5 times. Only ever a nominee. No, I think this was his first Emmy.
Okay. Yeah.
He
I guess.
won 2 of them tonight.
Yeah. I guess what I'm
His-
looking at is that he's a 2-time winner because he won 2 Emmys yesterday. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So very cool.
Mhm.
What an evolution. What a story
Yeah.
for Noah. Very, very pleased.
I went. There's a lot of people who are great. Like, I think Adam Scott is great. I saw a lot of
Mhm.
like, are we like sleeping on Sterling K. Brown? Like, maybe, but also Noah Wiley was fantastic. Uses his platform also to like give a shout out to, people who are either ending their shift or beginning. It's very like,
Mhm.
a very nice nod to the thing that he works on. So I like it. Yeah.
And obviously Pedro's was just incredible in The
Yeah.
Last of Us, but I
In it
think
for
it just
so little.
I think Noah Wiley's the pick there. Lead actress in a drama series goes to Britt Lauer in Severance. And I'm not mad at that one either, to be honest.
Yeah, I think this is her first win for this. So,
I
that
think so.
to me makes some, yeah, because there only would have been one other chance, and she didn't win it
Yeah,
before.
she's only one Emmy.
So that makes sense to me. I think she's very good and she's maybe the best part of season 2 of Severance as well. So this sort of like being one of the two. No, there's probably one other thing, but it also won, so I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy Bates, I think, won last year, which is interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Outstanding lead actor goes to in a comedy series goes to Seth Rogen over Jeremy Allen White, The Bear, Martin Short, Only Murders, Adam Brody, Nobody Wants This, Jason Segel in Shrinking. I don't know if this was surprising, but it was a little surprising to me.
I think he was the front runner for a fair bit. There is this idea that like it's Jeremy Allen White. We don't really need to do the category fraud debate,
Mhm.
but there is that thing which like he's probably the best actor. Is he the best actor in a comedy show? Is he doing the best comedic performance? No, I think Seth is probably better. I actually think there's a world where Martin Short actually maybe should win this as well, but that's okay. I'm more than fine with Seth Rogen winning.
Yeah. Lead actress in a comedy series goes to Jean Smart, as per usual.
4th award. Let me tell you, the Emmys loves to find a woman in a comedy, and then they give her that Emmy for many years in a row. So I would not be surprised that if next year Jean Smart has also won for her work in the 5th season of Hacks. But then that'll be it. Then we'll maybe get someone new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to argue. Also, she's just really phenomenal in the role. So, outstanding lead actor in an anthology series or movie, Stephen Graham, Adolescence, the first of many Adolescence wins here for that show. Stephen Graham was really, really good. I mean, this is a fairly stacked category. In my
Yeah.
opinion, Colin Farrell in The Penguin, Jake Gyllenhaal, Presumed Innocent, Tyree Henry in Dope Thief. I only saw one episode of Dope Thief, but he was very good in
I
it.
think he's really good in it.
Um,
I think, yeah, but
and I've heard very good things. But I mean, yeah, Adolescence was just such a showcase for the actors. And it's really hard to compete with what Stephen Graham pulled off in that show.
agree. I think one of the other things that's like really impressive about the fact that so many people watch Adolescence is that it's so few episodes, and the way Netflix does their reporting numbers is it's by minutes watched, and so you're actually like more sort of you're it's more beneficial to actually have more episodes. The fact that so many people actually it was so high in the charts, so many people did watch it is impressive. It did just become like an absolute phenomenon, and I think Stephen Graham is, in addition to acting in it, so much else of the show. The gif that's gone around of him being like mobbed by his castmates is quite adorable. It's very sweet. So happy for Stephen Graham.
Kristen Milotti wins lead actress in a limited or anthology series. There was no adolescent competitor in this category. And
Wow.
Kristen Milotti, who I've heard very good things. I only got like the first couple of episodes into The Penguin, so I haven't really seen the bulk of her performance, but I've known or I've heard very, very, very good things about it. So not super surprising to me that she won this.
Feels like the show came out so long ago. I think it's about a year ago that the Penguin. I think it was fall of last year, so it just feels
Yeah.
like a long time ago. But yeah, she is extremely good. I know people who I didn't vibe as much with Dying for Sex, but I know people who do really a lot of people really love it. And Michelle Williams there, you've like nominated Kate Blanchett. It wouldn't have been, I think, a huge surprise, but I think it's Miliotti's. It was hers to lose, and she didn't lose. So.
Mm. Tremel Tillman, the big win for supporting actor in a drama series. Of course, he's from Severance. I think like this was the biggest sort of like slam dunk. Everyone wants him to win, I think, in the whole show.
I think this would have been probably if it had been an upset, it would have been the most upset people would have been, I think, last night. So very good that he wins. His speech is great. Talks about his first acting coach being tough, which it turns out is his mother. He's phenomenal. He's great. When I talked before, I was like, she might be the best thing in Severance. It was like because for a brief moment I forgot Tremel Tillman existed, and so actually I think he's the best part of Severance, especially Severance season 2. So happy that he wins.
Yeah. And then Catherine Lanessa for The Pit wins supporting actress in a drama series. I was not expecting that personally.
So I do think she's phenomenal. I think she's really good. I think she's really deserving of it. I do wonder whether there was a little bit of White Lotus vote splitting. I almost said splitting, which is not a word. Mixed up my words. Carrie Coon and Parker Posey, I think, are both really, really good. Carrie Coon seemed to be the favorite for a really long time. But she didn't win. Catherine Lanessa, who she just is really good in the show. Excited for her. So, yeah.
It's also very like shocking to see her. I saw her on. She had a role on Daredevil,
Right.
Reborn or whatever, and she was just playing like a rich lady.
Right.
And I was like, wait, who are you? Wait, what?
Yeah.
Because she's that good. Like and even just her normal self is like, what? You're not what I thought. Wait. So yeah, good job. She is phenomenal in that role. So, Jeff Hiller, Somebody Somewhere, for supporting actor in a comedy series. Somebody Somewhere definitely skirts the line for comedy, in my opinion, but it is occasionally funny. They occasionally tell some jokes, you know.
I think this is the biggest surprise of the night. There's a very sweet interview that's going around of him on the red carpet, and they ask him something about like, what do you think if you're gonna win? And he's like, it's okay. Like, I don't think I'm gonna win, but like, I'm happy to be here. Like, big moment. Like, I've been waiting tables for a long time, and so extremely sweet. I love if you folks look up the moment that his name gets announced, everybody else is pretty ecstatic that he won. Seemed like this was going to be Harrison Ford. But and I wouldn't have been surprised for Ike to win just because the studio has so much love.
Category. Coleman Domingo there too.
This is great.
Evan Moss Bacharach for The Bear.
Yeah, I love it. Great.
Yeah, it's tough, and on off also like Somebody Somewhere, not exactly the most well watched show. So I am very surprised. But having watched Somebody Somewhere, despite its tenuous comedy accolades, he is phenomenal in it, and he is very funny in it as well. I would give it as a like a comedic performance as well as a dramatic one. Certainly deserving here.
Did you see there was an article that about recently that was about the most watched the most watched shows that have been nominated. Do you know what the number one show was of any show?
Survivor.
Survivor. Yeah, big deal.
Wild.
Yeah. I believe the studio was incredibly not watched, if I remember correctly. It's just because nobody has Apple. So
Yeah, it's wild. Hannah Einbinder wins for supporting actress in a comedy series for Hacks. I love this for her. She's phenomenal in that role. She's not a supporting actress though.
Yeah, she maybe gives the best speech of the night, but
Yes.
she's not a supporting actress. I mean, I get it. I get it if you're like if you're just allowed to choose wherever your people go. Like, hey, you put Jean Smart in lead and you put her in supporting, and then they both win, and they did, and whatever. But also, that's wrong. It's not right.
I can't be mad because I really I
know.
think she's so good, and she did give such a great speech, and I do like Hacks a lot, so I'm very, very happy for her. But definitely
Speaking
not
of
supporting.
best thing, she's the best thing in season 4 when she gives her when she freaks out when she finds out that the writing team has been buying things for the table under the pseudonym Mrs. Table. You haven't watched it. It's so funny. And I think likely got her a number of votes. So yeah.
Traders takes reality competition program. Not surprising, I would say.
The new darling. Yeah.
Outstanding directing for a drama series goes to Slow Horses over Severance, The White Lotus, and The Pit. This is a bit surprising to me.
It's wild. I really like Slow Horses. Slow Horses, I believe, also got a writing nod last year, if I'm remembering correct. I feel like I'm getting it confused because I think it's two different things that they won last year versus this year. It is a little bit of an Emmy darling to a degree. Like, there's a world where if it was just watched by more people, it might even do more. But it's an Apple TV show, and so it just wins these singular things each year. But yeah. Coming back soon. Slow Horses coming back soon for another. They're a show that's churning out a season a year. I love it.
Outstanding director for a comedy series, of course, goes to the studio. Not surprising. This was for The Oner, of course.
Yeah.
Outstanding directing for a limited or anthology series. Man, they love Oners because Adolescence wins that one. Not surprising at all. I mean,
no, not surprising.
Just if it were to win any one award, it would be directing and or one of the acting awards, right?
Yeah.
Outstanding writing for a drama series went to Dan Gilroy for Andor.
Great news. This is a great episode as well. So yeah, no surprise. I mean,
Welcome to the Rebellion, which was episode 9.
Yeah.
I preferred episode 8, but episode 9 was also phenomenal.
I also preferred episode 8, but I feel like there's, if I'm remembering correctly, I feel like there's some overlap between from 8 into 9 to a degree. But this is a stacked category as well. You have nominations for The White Lotus and Severance, The Pit, and Slow Horse. That's so stacked. So yeah, pretty happy that.
And if Andor were to win any award, I think writing is the one.
Yeah, there was a conversation. I can't remember where it was happening, but this idea of why doesn't Diego Luna get recognized for the show? And it's something about the show that it really it gets nominated for a lot, but it does, so I'm very happy it got nominated for, or it won. Sorry, at least something.
The studio wins for writing for a comedy series.
Yeah.
Adolescence wins for writing for limited or anthology. SNL, the anniversary special, wins the variety special.
Just say one of the thinking about the things that sort of so if you think about the studio, Adolescence, and The Pit being the 3 shows from each category, it also does track with me a little bit that The Pit is the one that doesn't kind of get the if there's overall acting and then writing, directing, it does make the most sense to me that The Pit is the one that's not doing it all. You know what I mean?
Well, not that it's not. Yeah. It's the category that is the most competitive and has the most watched other shows. Whereas for limited or anthology or even for comedy, it's the pool is a lot smaller and they probably haven't watched much of that pool either. And so you're much more likely to just pile onto one, I think, in that spot.
Yep, that's fair.
Adolescence wins outstanding limited or anthology series. Last Week Tonight wins for scripted variety.
I believe that was the Jeff
Here's the
Probst
fun one.
intro moment. Yeah.
Yes, Owen Cooper wins for outstanding supporting actor in a limited or anthology series. The youngest winner ever.
Yeah, youngest winner. Yeah, youngest winner ever. It's it is really good, and then I feel like I have to kind of remind because I'm like, oh, maybe like Peter Skarsgård would have been like a better winner, and then I'm like, oh, I forgot that he just like did the whole take. It was the first movie set or like film set he'd ever been on. Like it is really impressive. Like there's no denying his speech is quite good. I hope you all have a good night, I believe is something he said. It's so sweet. So good for Owen.
It's one of those things where you're like, you're so happy for him, but I don't know, for me at least, it's like, I really hope this doesn't like
Yeah.
ruin his life.
Yes, 100%. He's gonna be in I believe the Wuthering Heights movie that is coming out. He's gonna play the younger version of Jacob Elordi is one of the things he did immediately after this, which
Okay,
I think
that
is
tracks.
yeah. Also, very. If you've seen the trailer for the Wuthering Heights movie, it's quite different. So, yeah,
Oh boy.
yeah,
And then Erin Doherty for Adolescence as well wins supporting actress in a limited or anthology series. Basically, that one episode between the two of them. Just yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. A lot of people out there being like, y'all weren't with Erin Doherty when she was in The Crown playing Princess Anne like we were, but very happy that she won.
Stephen Colbert wins outstanding talk series.
Gives a great speech. It's good. Yeah.
And then I don't know if there's much else left to really comment on.
No, I think that's pretty much it. I do overall think I'm not mad at anybody. Like I'm not like, oh, I really disagree with that choice. I
Yeah.
do think it's like what we said up top that there are these three shows, one in each category that really like dominate and win most things. But when you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, like the Pit did lose for stuff. I feel like and then the studio didn't like sweep like acting awards, like that Hacks got its moment there. So I think a pretty good show. I did watch some of the Nate Bargatze stuff. I think unfortunately, I think he's a much better stand-up than he is television host. I know
Yeah.
people really didn't
I,
like the bit.
I didn't know who he was. And like I said, I didn't watch the full thing. But every time he came on, I was like, this is mean. I was waiting for him to be funny
Yeah,
because he had like a very low energy sort of thing going on. And I was like, okay, this can work for me when it gets funny.
yeah. I mean,
And maybe it would have if I watched the whole thing.
I think to some degree, like maybe we're all like, I obviously there have been really good hosts, but I don't know really like what I really want from an amazing host because mostly I want them to just like not do a bunch of stuff that then takes away the time of me watching to get to
Mm-hmm.
the winners. So the better the host and the more that they do, I'm a little like, can we just like maybe like, this is funny, but I wish we were doing other stuff. So I'm not that mad at it. I really like Nate Bargatze. He's a pretty good SNL host, but he, you know, that is not. I don't know. I don't know that he's like the most dynamic. I think he's very funny. I just don't know that he's like an electric host, but that's okay.
I did
Doesn't
like the bit about the money, although I've heard
you
people.
did? People
Well,
really don't
well,
like
here's
it.
the thing.
Yeah.
I only watched it in small little bits. I don't even know where it ended up or like any of that. I only watched it in the sense of like occasionally the thing would tick down,
Yeah.
and I thought that was funny.
So
Um,
the at the end they were like, it said like they owed number of money. Hannah Einbinder says like, don't whatever, I'll pay it, whatever. At the end of the show, they're like, oh, don't worry, like me and whoever else are just gonna donate like 350 grand. So like it was more than the original amount. I do think like I really don't know what they do because I think it is a problem that these award shows go long. And I don't really know what you cut out that much to like make it not be long if you're not trying to make sure that the the winners are like going long. I literally was talking about this at work. I'm doing an awards ceremony at my work, and I literally had to be like, we have to let them speak, but I don't know what we do if they if they like go long because we only have 45 minutes, and so it is a real problem. I just don't know how you fix it, and I don't think they have ever successfully figured it out. So no, that's fine.
yeah. All right, then that was the Emmys. I think overall it was just kind of like, yeah, okay,
They happened.
they did it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very happy that Noah Wyle got an Emmy. That's really the main thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I think I'm happy with who won. So good time.
All right. Well, Grace, you have been gone. You
Yes.
have been away,
Yes.
tucked away in the corner of a movie theater for the last what
It
seems
was
like
it
weeks.
It was 11 days. So it does feel like weeks, and it kind of is because it's a Thursday to like 2 Sundays. So you do there's a real rush at the beginning of like a 5 day span, Thursday to kind of Monday. And then it does sort of start to peter out a little bit. The last weekend can pick up a little bit, but it is fairly long. I think I in total was at 35 screenings of things, which was no 30. I watched 35 movies and I was at 37 screenings is basically what happened. I've also been fortunate to get to watch some other stuff not at the theater, so it was pretty busy. I was pretty tired, I have to admit. And I won't complain because I got to watch a bunch of stuff I was excited about. But let me like bucket things into, you know, things basically to like walk through them. And most of these should have IMDb pages, Taryn, if you wanted to have
Yes.
them up. Um, so the first thing I'll talk about is it was my favorite movie, and it's the movie that won People's Choice, and it was sort of the talk of the town, both before it came to Toronto and then it won this People's Choice, which is a great precursor to getting nominated for Best Picture. The movie is Hamnet, Taryn, so it's Hamnet. This is a movie, and the thing about winning People's Choice is I believe if you look back, like for the last 10 years, every movie but last year's movie got nominated for Best Picture. Last year's People's Choice winner was The Life of Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
And so that just kind of had a weird distribution and didn't get nominated. It does seem to be, this is like firmly planted as like, this is going to be nominated for Best Picture. And, you know, it might even win. And so the story behind this is Chloe Zhao, who's done like
Mm-hmm.
Nomadland and she did the Eternals, the Marvel movie. And this is Jesse Buckley and Paul Mescal as William Shakespeare and William Shakespeare's wife. They have a child named Hamnet, and they tell you at the beginning of the movie, it's not a spoiler, that like Hamnet and Hamlet were sort of like interchangeable at the time. Like there's a lot of, you know, if you look at writings of the time, they're basically interchangeably swapped out. Their son died, and this movie is about the way that they deal with that grief and process that grief, culminating for Paul Mescal's character of William Shakespeare writing the play Hamlet. And that's what the movie is about. And I don't know that I've ever been in a movie theater where more people were all very loudly, audibly crying. And it is extremely sad. It's extremely emotional. And but there's a way that it's, you know, it's just this like beautiful portrait of grief and loss and what you do with those emotions that you feel and how do you move on, especially at one of the worst things you can imagine, which is the loss of your child. It is beautiful. I loved it. I am already feeling like there are people being like, actually, it's not that great, which is fine. People don't have to like it. But I do know some people who did not like Hamnet, mostly from a like historical accuracy perspective and some of the way that this probably feels a little pretentious. And I definitely think it will, but this just does feel like it was like made to win an Oscar or like be nominated for Best Picture, and so it likely will have a extremely successful Oscar run. And so that's Hamnet. Yeah,
My thing with Nomadland
yeah,
was that it felt, while well made, felt very dry to me. Very kind of like tough to chew.
yes,
Would you say, I mean, it sounds like that is not quite the case with this movie, but like entertainment value, is it like,
yeah.
does it keep you grabbed, or is it kind of a hard or kind of
I
thing?
mean, I mean, it definitely is a Chloe Zhao movie. You know, like I don't think it's like so far removed from Nomadland that you're like, what a, you know, I can't believe this was made by Chloe Zhao. But like, you know, at the same time, I do think this will have probably, I mean, Nomadland won Best Picture, right? I believe that year.
I
Like
think so.
I think it has that sort of upside. I do also think it is different, I think, in terms of like the emotional stakes that it's going for in a way that this movie then makes them those emotional stakes more relatable. Like, you know, like yeah, what happens if a person in your family dies? You know, what is that? You know, what do you do after that? And then mapped onto this fictionalized version, or at least like, I don't know, I guess I don't know exactly how she's describing it, but like there's a lot of way. My friend who is a Shakespeare, she's studied a lot of Shakespeare history, talks about the way in which like we really actually don't know a lot about Shakespeare, and so we often are trying to like Im- imprint ideas about like, no, this is the type of playwright he was, and this, and so like Hamlet in particular is like very much a thing of like, oh, he must have written it for this reason. And actually, his wife, who in the movie is Agnes, but I believe in real life she's more commonly known as Anne Hathaway. That's a like, so even that, so the fact that she's Agnes in the movie, is this a true reflection of are you supposed to believe this is what happened? I don't really think so. But it is just like, it's very hard to know what why Shakespeare wrote stuff he did, and there's not a lot of evidence about his home life. So that's Hamnet. I mean, yeah, one people's choice. So it's it's there. Did it?
Right.
It's gonna go on. It's gonna I think assuredly get nominated for Best Picture. So,
Mhm.
um, I realized as I was at the festival, Taran, that I think I resonate the most with really sad movies. So I'm just going to stick on this for a little bit. So another big movie I saw was Sentimental Value, and this is the follow up to Joachim Trier's. It's not a follow up to anything. It's just the new Joachim Trier movie. He did notably Worst Person in the World, which is part of the Oslo trilogy
Mm.
that he did. This is I said follow up because it's Renee Rensve, who was in Worst Person in the World, but also has Stellan Skarsgård. This movie is mostly
Is it
about,
is it
yes,
in English or another language?
it is in mostly Norwegian, except
Okay.
for um, is it Elle Fanning is in this movie,
Right.
um, and she plays an American, and most of the scenes with her are in English. I think almost all of the scenes, except for times where she's like trying to speak Norwegian. And essentially, the plot of this is that Renee Rensve plays Nora, who is a woman who you learn quite quickly has been depressed, has had depression, and she is an actor, and she's been in a play, and she's been in movies, and her father, Stellan Skarsgård, is a movie director, and they have a strained relationship, and he would like to make a movie with her in it. And the movie is sort of about that idea. Elle Fanning is also there as an American actress. And I just really liked this movie. I think it's better than Worst Person in the World. It sort of is on that same vibe of it's a very much a character study of this woman and her life and the things that she's sort of struggling with in terms of her life and her place in it and her what she wants to do with her life and all sorts of things like that. But the relationship between her, like Skarsgård, is really good in this movie as well. This got really good. I believe it's the runner-up for a new award this year, which is the International People's Choice Award. So they separated out sort of North
Mm.
American movies, international movies, and this was the runner-up. I really loved this movie, but it did lose, Taran, to No Other Choice, which is the new Park Chan-wook movie. And
Mm.
I had a little bit of a freak out, Taran, because I had a gap in my schedule. And so the way press screenings work is you go and wait, you rush them. So you wait in line with your badge and then first come, first serve for seats. And I tried to fit in a movie just before this thinking, I think it should be fine. There's typically not a problem with getting into a movie. I might just have a really bad seat. No, it turns out you had to be in line for this movie for like 2 hours to get in as a press, as a member of the press. And so I then had a panic attack that I was not going to get to see this movie at all at the festival. They did add an extra press screening, and I did get to go see it. And I do really like it. And this one, International People's Choice Award, I think it's really good. I know some people are talking about it in sort of laudatory, like it's the best Park Chan-wook. I don't know that that's true. I
That
do
feels
think it's.
difficult.
I would agree with that. I do think there is something so timely about this movie, and essentially the sort of really simple premise of this movie is he is a man who can't find a job, and he has no other choice but to do the things he needs to do to find a job in modern 2025 times. I think it's really good. I think it's like very weirdly funny. It's the like sort of it's shot beautifully. Like the scenes are all very dynamic and it's compelling to watch. And it resonated enough. It was International People's Choice. So we don't know necessarily whether that means like, oh, it will be nominated for Best Picture, but we'll see. This movie comes out. I should be saying these as well. This movie, I believe, is releasing limited on Christmas Day, and then it's having a wide release in January. So not
It
too
does
long to see it.
It does feel to me, just on vibes, like a little bit of a return to Park Chan-wook's roots, as opposed to some of his recent work uh, elsewhere. Not that that's been bad either, but um, he's kind of known for his thrillers that have this sort of like artistic edge to them, and sometimes some comedic edge to them. So I'm very obviously excited to see it.
It does just feel extremely timely. It feels very like this is a reflection of what's happening in
Mhm.
2025 in terms of like it's like him and all these other people work at like suddenly they're older guys who have like I guess he's not like so old, but he has like children who understand what it means to like for your father to not have a job, and all the things that come with that, how it affects his marriage and their ability to keep their home and all of these things, and what are the lengths he is willing to go to be able to live basically. So that's no other choice. So I quite liked it. Yeah. um and then I'll say Frankenstein is was the runner up for the regular People's Choice Award. And what was interesting is that there was a little bit of like some stuff happening with Frankenstein. So Frankenstein had premiered internationally, but it was supposed to have its North American premiere, and Toronto does this a little bit where I do feel like to some degree they value getting of the world or North American premiere of a movie. And so there were some times where like movies would be at these bigger theaters, and I'd be like, why is that movie? There's a Brian Cox movie that debuted in the festival very late, and I was like, why is that playing at that humongous theater? And there was a ton of tickets available, and it turned out it was the world premiere, I believe, of the movie, and so Toronto really wants that thing. Telluride, about a week before the festival, had a surprise announcement that they were playing Frankenstein, therefore, undercutting Toronto's world or North American premiere, and instead it became the Canadian premiere. Then I heard it was like not great, and I was very excited to see this movie. So the buzz was like not that good. It's a little Disney, getting a lot of comparisons to Nosferatu. That was like Eggers just did gothic horror with an old monster, and it was amazing. And so I was like a little trepidatious going in, and I really enjoyed Frankenstein. I mean, I think it is exactly what you're going to get from a Guillermo del Toro, monster movie. Like the visual effects are really good, but I think surprisingly, like Jacob Elordi is really good as Frankenstein's monster. Oscar Isaac is in this. Mia Goth is in this, and I think they're both really good in it. I think it's a fun time. I think unfortunately a lot of people are going to watch this at home on Netflix, so might have a different experience than I did watching it in a big theater. But I think it's good. I think it's pretty good. Some very fun. There was some four like 20-year-old girl, like women sitting next to me tearing at the movie, and they kept being like, "Oh, that would never happen in the book." It's like, oh, okay, that's okay, sure, but like it's just a big movie, I think for like 100-year-old book, or however old Frankenstein is. So I liked it, and it was the runner-up for People's Choice, which I think was a huge surprise, because the other thing too is Frankenstein I think had the most screenings of any movie, and the way voting is done at TIFF is that it's number of votes divided by number of tickets. So if a movie plays a bunch of times, you're at a huge disadvantage to winning because it's not purely votes. And yet it was the runner up. So I think that's very interesting and maybe telling for the sort of like commercial appeal that Frankenstein might have when it comes out, Taran.
Mm,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this is one I mean, 2.5 hours though is pretty long, but
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You got, basically every movie is too long these days. I do agree with that. So, yeah. Um, Let me give some. I'll just give a few shots for movies that I think I liked that I think are going to be pretty accessible for people to watch. The first one
mhm.
is Tuner. This was sort of a surprise hit out of Telluride, and so I'd heard some buzz. This is Leo Woodall, who we saw in a show earlier this year where he plays like a math genius, I think.
Oh, he's the
Uh,
guy from Prime Target.
Prime Target, that's right. And he's kind of doing the same thing where he's like the smartest guy in a room, but he doesn't look like he'd be the smartest guy in the room. And the premise of behind this is great. He is a man who has hypersensitive hearing. So he's like constantly
Mm.
wearing earplugs, and he has headphones over his earplugs sometimes. And what he does is he's a piano tuner, and Dustin Hoffman is his sort of like mentor, who
Sean Reno is in this.
yeah, who teaches him how to to actually he doesn't really need to teach him because like this kid is like a whiz and he knows how to he has perfect pitch, right? Partially through the movie, he figures out that he has the ability to also use that hypersensitivity to crack safes. And that leads him into the world of crime. And he has to balance this very sweet sort of home life thing that he has going on with being caught up in these very dangerous situations of cracking safes. And I think it's really good, and I think it's going to play really well out in the public whenever it gets released. I believe it has a distributor, but I don't know. But I think if I remember correctly, it's coming out in the not so distant future. So Tuner is one that I think is like really fun. There was a lot of buzz that like it was going to win People's Choice, and it didn't. That went to Hamnet, but this is a movie a lot of people seemed to like. And then the last one I'll give you is Obsession. And Obsession made there was a lot of buzz about it before the festival started. Maybe I'm misremembering. Actually, I think what happened is it played a Midnight Madness, which is a movie that starts at like, 11:59, 12, and so it's like people say late, and there's a lot of energy for these crowds. And it played, and then immediately he went into a room all weekend and was pitched by various distributors about this film and buying it. And there was a bidding war between A24, Focus Features, and I believe maybe Neon, but I'm maybe misremembering the third thing. And he sold this for $15 million to Focus, and it's getting distributed. And then also there's some producers who worked on Weapons and some other big name horror movies, and they immediately bought his next script for his next movie. And so I feel bad because I think I'm going to like hype this up to a tremendous degree in the way that I'm talking about, like the way it's sold. But this was really fun. It was really good. The premise being that he has a crush on someone, this other girl, and he finds a way to make a wish come true, and he wishes for her to be in love with her. And we go from there. And there's a lot that happens. It's a really wild movie. I think that this could do tremendously well in sort of the talk to me, bring her back, like these like surprise horror hits that are coming. That's the way I would describe this film. It's really fun. It's really messed up, Terry. it's like extremely messed up, but Obsession.
It's my kind of movie.
Yeah. So yeah, Curry Baker. Keep an eye out for Curry Baker because he seems like to some degree he's the next sort of, long legs, talk to me, this type of horror movie that could have a lot of success. So yeah.
This is not his
This is his first feature film, I believe. Yeah. So the first full length. Maybe he did a movie called Milk and Cereal. Yeah, he might have done that as well, but I can't remember if it's even an hour yes, like an hour long.
It looks very low budget though.
It does look, I believe it is very low budget. Yeah. Yeah, there's some movies that are coming to theaters. I'll just like Roofman I watched, Channing Tatum, true story. He is a bank robber, not Channing Tatum, the guy he's playing. He escapes and he hides out in a Toys R Us. People seem to like it. I wish I liked it a little more than other people seem to, but people seem to like it. Good Fortune is coming out. That's Aziz Ansari, Keanu Reeves, and Seth Rogen, where it's like a life swap comedy where Keanu Reeves playing a guardian angel like swaps the lives of Aziz Ansari and Seth Rogen. So Aziz is like a struggling everyday like delivery driver. Seth Rogen, the head of a CEO company. They swap places and comedies. I actually loved seeing a lot of comedies at the festival because you were in a full theater, and if they were like playing, they did well. So this was a fun one. Aziz was there. So yeah, was fun. Yeah, I feel like I'll have an article on Parade coming out of like my top 10 movies. I think I'm going to co-write that with the movie editor over there. So that should be coming out. I wrote an article on Substack today about like other stuff from the festival that I really like that aren't the movies, but yeah, there's a ton of stuff that I liked, and I'm sure as movies end up coming out closer to their actual release date, we can chat more about what I thought of the movies. But those are some of my highlights.
All right. Well, anything else from TIFF?
That's I got to meet Benny Safdie, who's the director of one of my favorite TV shows, The Curse. That was cool. Jude Law I met very briefly. It was very fun. I love TIFF. If you've never been to a film festival, TIFF it can be expensive in terms of like tickets are a lot of money, but if you are able to do it, I think there's no better festival. Toronto is a very people focused festival as opposed to a thing like Venice or Cannes that are very much like you would pay a lot of money and you probably have to be like invited to sit in these rooms to watch these movies. Toronto, you can go and see very famous people and watch a bunch of movies and meet all these sorts of great people. So it's a very, very fun time. I am very tired, Taran. But that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there is just one movie that came out this week that I do want to see. I just haven't had time to, of course. I'm sure we've mentioned it, The Long Walk. I don't know if I doubt you've had time to see this.
I was like,
Yeah.
there was so much of me like, I should go watch because people are kind of raving about it. People are really liking The Long Walk.
Mhm.
So I definitely will see this soon. I just wasn't able to see it before the end of TIFF. Yeah.
I did hear that they did a screening of it for press purposes where they installed treadmills in the theater.
Yes, they did do this.
And if you went below a certain speed, you had to leave the theater. And I've never wanted to go to watch a movie more.
I think somebody actually, I feel like, tweeted directly at you, being like, "Hey, did you know they're doing this? You would be a perfect fit for this." David Johnson is one of the leads in this movie. He's getting a tremendous amount of buzz. People might know him from Alien Romulus, or he was in the first season of, or first two seasons of Industry. Rye Lane. This guy, like, I feel like sort of the thing is like he's gonna be huge. So this is, I feel like, other than Alien Romulus, like sort of his first big movie role. I love Cooper Hoffman. I saw a movie at TIFF that Cooper Hoffman starred in that I absolutely loved called Poetic License that should come out. Maud Apatow, her directorial debut. But I just thought Cooper Hoffman was amazing. And then when people were being like, oh, he's really good in this, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I really like Cooper Hoffman. This is from JT Molnar, who did Strange Darling, kind of broke out. And this was the thing that he immediately got signed on to do next. And I'm very excited to see this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we could maybe briefly bring up Task as well. If you haven't heard of Task, this is kind of the biggest new show. It's from the creator of Mayor of Easttown. And I think in particular, I've seen a lot of critics really liking this show.
I really like this show, Taran. I've seen the whole thing. I got to interview almost the entire cast. Everybody but Mark Ruffalo. He was sick that day, although TBD, I might be coming in the future, but no promises. The first thing for me is that, like, I really do think between Tom Pelphrey, who people might know from as Ben from Ozark. He was like the little brother in sort of the middle seasons of Ozark, who was sort of struggling with addiction and all sorts of things. And I believe he won an Emmy for that role. I think he's so good in Task. He is sort of, I think that the premise behind Task is, in the way that Brad Inglesby, the creator, I was chatting with him about it. It was kind of like in Mayor of Easttown, you have Kate Winslet playing Mayor, and she's this like central figure, and she's trying to figure out what's going on, and you're really with her. In Task, you know what's happening the whole time. There is not a whodunit. There is just things that are happening where Mark Ruffalo and Tom Pelphrey are on opposite sides of that thing working out. So if it works out for one of them, it will not work out well for the other one. Mark Ruffalo leading a task force, Tom Pelphrey's character behind the crimes that they are investigating. And I just think, I think Ruffalo is good. I think Tom Pelphrey is incredible in the show. It might be my favorite performance of the year so far. I think he's like so good. And then also Amelia Jones, who people might know, she was in Coda, and she was in Lock and Key, a random Netflix show. If you haven't watched it, she plays the sort of I think a younger brother, like maybe anyway. She's really good in it too. I think she's like really phenomenal in the show. And it's in terms of like being a Mayor of Easttown follow up. It's not really, other than that it's like set in the same place, and so some of the things that people go through is like similar in the way that like it's not an affluent community. People are struggling, but I do think it's good. I think there's a lot happening. A little bit of me will say I think it's probably too long. I was chatting with somebody at TIFF in line who we were like, I don't know why the whole last episode exists, basically. which I feel really bad saying that, but it is what it is. But I do think for the most part, you get a lot in each episode, and so I think this is well worth checking out and well worth, not that it's bad at the end. It's just like they do so much in the middle that I was like, I think you sent me too many episodes because like so much happens in every episode of the show. So yeah, I like Task. I think it's worth. It's probably the best thing on right now too because it's been a little dry.
All right.
Can I tell you one other thing, which is I really liked The Paper.
Oh yes.
Which is the Office spinoff, which came out a couple of weeks ago now. So like we're pretty far removed from it. I watched the first episode and I like genuinely thought this is very clever. And I think that they've captured something about The Office that isn't The Office. It's not like this is season 10 of The Office. I thought it's very good. There's specifically a joke about an email that one of the characters sends out about this new character coming. If anybody has watched the first episode, I think that's genuinely so funny. I laughed out loud a lot. I thought it was really clever and really good. They've dropped all the episodes and they renewed it for season 2. So
yeah, I heard very good things about The Paper. I believe it was not intended, or they had not originally intended to drop it all at once. They decided to drop it all at once. And I don't know. I feel like even though I heard very good things about it, I haven't heard a thing about it in the last like week or two.
But so I agree. I guess there was a lot of convo again at the festival I was watching. We're talking with a lot of press people. And we were talking a lot about like, should you binge drop or should you release weekly? I do think there's some sense to dropping the show all at once. I do think it probably got better reception in terms of being a good show by dropping all the episodes rather than being like, here's one. And then by next week, like, I think they would have like potentially lost some people. I think the other thing is that like the Office became such a binge show. Like it is a thing that people just have it on all the time.
Quintessential example of a Netflix show that you just put on in the background and have on all the time.
Especially that wasn't a Netflix show too, like, yeah, it is just background noise, I think, between that and kind of like Friends to some degree. And so I do think there is some sense in like dropping all of the episodes at once and just letting the sort of good reaction of the thing happen rather than like, because I do think even the first episode, which I thought is good, it's not amazing. And there is still like, it's a setup episode. And I do think the show to some degree might have been like held back a little bit by like a slow 10-week sort of release when I don't know. I don't think I'm as out on comedies dropping as binge as I am. Not to say that they, if we reverted completely to like, if I had to choose one or the other, I'm choosing week to week. But there is a thing about a week to week show that's like a mystery show or like a dense show that you do want that time in between to be like, yeah, let me think about it and percolate on it and talk with my friends about it and all of that stuff in a way that I don't think you need. That's not what I'm enjoying about watching The Paper. You know what I mean? And so I'm good with it dropping all at once. And like, yeah, you didn't hear, but like, it's not in the zeitgeist as much, but Taran, whenever you go find The Paper, like I think you will probably enjoy it. So, just sitting and waiting for you.
As long as I remember to go watch it, I think.
True. True.
Which I'd plan to. Yeah, interesting stuff. Either way, I think that's about what we have.
We're back. We're settling back in. We'll get into the swing of things again, Taran.
Yes. All right. Well, eventually, listen, there's about just under 2 weeks left of Big Brother. That's wild. So, and then, but also my TV apparently isn't going to get fixed until mid-October. So
yes. Okay.
That's unfortunate, but
yes, we might have to rope in some people off the bench, to come chat about some television shows. We might be able to do that as well.
And if we do have like a little bit of a slower pace here and there, please be sort of patient with us over the next few weeks or so. But it's always fun checking in. Very very interesting stuff to talk about with the Emmys, and very excited about all of these new movies with at TIFF.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The only thing is that I'll keep people posted. I could go for like hours and hours on what I saw, but I tried to contain myself to what I think like sort of made headlines and what is sort of like immediately available. As things sort of come up, I'll give more opinions on the things that I watched.
Well, Grace, where can people find the more detailed breakdowns and everything?
Yeah, so on my social media at Hi from Grace, and then there should be an article coming out pretty soon on Parade of like the best movies I saw. I'll be doing some reviews on Parade as well. Yeah, I'm around. I'm doing this century in cinema, counting down the New York Times top 100 films, the 21st century. Last week I did Minority Report, which I didn't like that much, but this week back at it with Michael Clayton. So yeah, I'm on social media. I'm around. Check it out.
All right. And of course, you can find my book, Behind the Mirror, TaranArmstrong.com. There is now an audiobook available for pre-order that will be narrated by me. So that should be very fun, hopefully. And you can find all the other stuff I'm doing over on YouTube, Twitch, and Patreon. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. And we will see all of you next time.